the wins, they struggle to find the goals. But can they find some form against Melbourne City? They faced off once already this season, back in the Unite round. It was a 1-1 draw. Mackenzie Hawkesby and Lourdes Bosch getting on the score sheet. Sydney FC are certainly missing a few players. See there, Kaya Simon as well, and Shay Holman. But there are no excuses. Kirsty Fenton sitting at the top there as well. They are missing a few players, but Sydney FC are a side we've seen the last 2 seasons win the championship, win it all. They need to find some form if they want to climb back and find themselves back in finals again. But Ante Juric makes one change to the side that fell to Melbourne victory. Shay Connors comes in for Millie Farah, who's got a minor hamstring strain, and Kaylee Talon-Henniker comes into the matchday squad, starting on the bench this afternoon alongside Mackenzie Hawkesby, who did score in the first meeting this season. Lots of names there who can make something happen. Lots of faces who are going to start this game. Going to try to have a big afternoon, and one of them is Indiana Dos Santos. She is a very impressive young player. Only got 1 goal to her name so far this season, but that is deceiving. She is a player with a lot of talent. She's not afraid to press from the front and kind of spur her side forward, particularly in the attack, and that's what Sydney FC are going to do, need her to do. Attack those fullbacks, attack the centre backs. You know Melbourne City would like to play out. She is a player who's capable of changing the dynamic of a game. She's been to the Under-20s Women's World Cup before. Had her moments, broke out in this competition and been a really impressive young player. And she'll have a big task against this Melbourne City side, with Michael Matriciani making 2 changes to the 11, with Rebecca Stott coming back into the side with Leah Davidson. She started on the bench, Rebecca Stott, last week alongside Davidson. And Lourdes Bosch starts on the bench this afternoon with the likes of Holly McNamara, Shelby McMahon and TJ Vlanich. That is a very talented bench for Melbourne City and a very impressive starting 11. And one of those players is Mariana Speckmeyer. 4 goals to her name so far this season. She's had a really impressive season so far. Top scorer for Melbourne City. Then last week, a little bit disappointing from the penalty spot, not able to put it away. The second penalty missed in 1 game from Melbourne City. Maybe those penalty yips are back for this side. Had some troubles in the past. Don't want those troubles to reappear in this game against Sydney FC. And Ante Juric, he's had a difficult season. He's an experienced coach, won lots of things throughout. This may be his most difficult season as head coach of this Sydney FC side. They need to find some points very, very quickly. Our referees this afternoon, Rachel Mitchison. She is certainly hoping it's going to be a very calm afternoon of football and a calm season so far for Michael Matriciani, head coach of Melbourne City, taking over from Dario Vidicic. And you wouldn't have expected maybe it'd be so easy for him, but it really has been. Winning in the Asian Champions League group stages, winning throughout the Ninja A-League competition so far, yet to have a loss. Will this Sydney FC side be the side who hands Melbourne City their first loss of the season? That first meeting for Sydney FC and Melbourne City, it was probably Sydney's best performance of the season, really competitive. The downside of that game though, they did lose Hannah Lowry to an ACL. She went down and she's obviously going to be unavailable. One of those players who came in during the off-season for Ante Juric that could have been that spark. They lost a lot of players during the off-season. Courtney Vine, Charlotte McLean, Jahada Wyman. They have to find something. There is a lot of high-quality, high-caliber players. But it's going to be a big task this afternoon against Melbourne City, and it will be Sydney FC who get us going. We have Maddie Caspers starting in the middle of the park, and we are underway. Sydney FC get us going. And I'm lucky enough to be joined in the commentary booth with Western Sydney Wanderers legend and coach Kath Cannuli. Kath, how are you feeling? What do you think this game's going to be like?
I think this is going to be an exciting game. They're 2 top teams, even though Sydney FC has had 4 losses since the 1-1 draw with Melbourne City, and Melbourne City have been unbeaten this season. I definitely think this game's going to have it all, and it's going to be an exciting one.
It certainly is going to be an exciting contest. What do you think Sydney FC, probably heading into this game as underdogs, what do they need to do in order to claim all 3 points this afternoon?
I think this afternoon they're just got to stay confident. They've got to really just stick to their game plan and really just take it one step at a time. I know it's been a bit of a tough season for Ante Juric and the Sydney FC girls, and it's always difficult when you're one of those teams that is always on the top of the league and everything's going so well for you. But I'm sure Sydney FC have got the quality across this whole squad to be able to get themselves back on top again, and I'm sure today is where it needs to start for them.
Leichhardt Oval is a place where they found a lot of luck at home in past seasons. It's a special place for this Sydney FC group. They need a quick start to not allow Melbourne City to get away going. But in saying that, Melbourne City have a habit of going down in games to start this season and finding a way to win, as they did against Wellington Phoenix 2 weeks ago. Jordan Thompson on the ball now. Ball almost given away in the final third. Postelakis. Carly Rosbakken. Postelakis once again. Now Rebecca Stott. Pinched away by Connors. Finds Postelakis again. Going to have to be very patient, obviously, Sydney FC, but this Melbourne City side and Michael Matriciani, so far this season, have really been able to find their way through teams, even though they haven't necessarily clicked into that full gear that we expect of them. Let's ball out now. Got McKenna through the middle. And that pass is cut off by Tumeth.
It looked like Briley Henry there was just in two minds. With the speed that Briley Henry's got, you've got one play to beat to get yourself into the box. I'd like to see Briley take players on and be a little bit more confident in that area of the pitch. So.
Bryson. Very experienced player, Faye Bryson, spent some time in the WSL. Was really good for the Central Coast Mariners last season. Kind of a poaching, really, Sydney FC, taking Faye Bryson, one of the best fullbacks we had last year. Otto immediately closed down, forced to retreat to Mires, who sends it long. It's just going to fall for Tumeth. Ball over the top, Carly Rosbakken. First to react to deny Lucy Johnson. Ball left behind, Dos Santos. First real sight of her this afternoon. Back to Dos Santos. And is poked away by Henry. Crowded area, and Melbourne City find the release. Mires just inviting that danger. We've seen her a few times, Kath, this season. Just invite a little bit too much pressure or too far off the line and maybe cost City at moments.
You tend to see that now with goalkeepers. We know that goalkeepers love playing out with their feet, and it's an evolving position, isn't it? But sometimes when it's risk versus reward sort of thing, and Melbourne City love playing out and love to use their goalkeeper, and it's something that I think she's probably getting used to a little bit more, and needs to assess, you know, when teams are pressing her and where the actual pressure is coming from.
Ball played dangerously into the middle of the park. Rosbakken. McKenna, ball too far ahead, and a big collision in the middle of the park with Letitia McKenna, and it was Lucy Johnson just running into each other. McKenna probably wasn't helped with that initial throw in and just was caught by Johnson. A really big clash between the two.
It's a massive clash there. Both players, both not pulling out of that tackle and both wanting to win that ball and putting their bodies on the line as we generally do, especially in the middle of the park. As that throwing got thrown across into that, it's such a dangerous area, and McKenna knows that she needs to get to that ball, and Lucy Johnson just put her body on the line there, and it looks like McKenna's come off the worst of the two.
It does look like that. And obviously, head collisions are a thing in this game that we have to be mindful of, and number one priority is players' safety and well-being. So just going to take a few moments. And you see it again. They just ran into each other, or both going for the ball.
They sure did, and Lucy Johnson, you can see she comes up and over the top of McKenna there, and it must be the way that McKenna's actually hit the ground on the way back down.
It's not a good injury. Obviously, if McKenna is unable, they do have Shelby McMahon, Lourdes Bosch, TJ Blanch and Holly McNamara. Probably not going to see McNamara so early coming back from the ACL injury, but the others are typically playing a lot further forward than where the position that McKenna occupies.
We need to talk about this bench for Melbourne City. We know that Melbourne City has plenty of depth, but what a bench that is. There's so much options on the bench there, and I'm sure the tweaks can be done. We've seen last week that they reverted to a back three with Stoddy obviously being out as well, but you know, Melbourne City has just got so much depth, and we know there's the likes of the youngsters like Amelia Murray, who's not even making the team sheet these days, and it's a really great problem to have as a head coach, because you want to build that competitive nature within your team, and no one's safe at Melbourne City. Anyone that's not on their game or not playing to the full potential that they need, is that there's always somebody there waiting to take their spot and to be able to slot in, and it's just a great issue to have.
It's a fantastic problem if you are Michael Matrashani, particularly if you're continuing to win. It's a problem that you certainly invite. Obviously, another solution, if McKenna was unable to continue, she does look like she's up on her feet now, is obviously Rihanna Policina is playing a little bit high. She could obviously drop back into that number 10 role that McKenna plays, but she is up on her feet, which is the most important thing. We're just going to take a moment just to regroup. Johnson high-fiving, so that's a really positive sign to see very early in this game. Postelakis. It's a dangerous ball picked off by Johnson now. Got some numbers up ahead. Going to send that cross into the path of Abini, who heads it down. Still Abini fights with Postelakis, and then Stott able to come through. So make sure the danger passes. Now Briley Henry. This player on the ball, Kathy, you're very familiar with Alexia Postelakis. How impressed have you been with her growth in this game?
Absolutely. I gave her start at the Western Sydney Wanderers, and she played for many seasons there, and she's just grown bigger and better every season, and it's been fantastic to see her in Melbourne City at the moment, playing some really, really good football. A massive loss for the Western Sydney Wanderers, but it's great to see Postelakis been growing on and off the pitch, and someone that I'm sure in the future will be a strong hold in this league, but if not, a Matilda for sure.
It's always exciting to see young players continue to grow, and especially when you gave them their debut as well. That must feel a little bit very nice as well.
Absolutely, and it came, to be honest, she was a train-on at the time, and she was just playing just to fill numbers, and it was crazy. We had one of our, I'm pretty sure it was actually Claire Hunt at the time, that was injured in a trial match leading into the season, and we were like, who can we put on? And Alexia was there. I'm like, Alexia, jump on, you're going on at centre back, and she played for about 30 minutes against our under-14s boys team at the time, and she just blew me away. And as soon as she came off, I just said, you've just earned yourself a scholarship here at the Western Sydney Wanderers, and I think she nearly broke down crying. But it's fantastic to see so many youngsters in the league at the moment doing such great things.
She's a star in this competition, and Melbourne City are trying to find their first goal. Ball's poked wide. Too far for Ross Barkin to chase down. Speckmeyer. Forced further away from the goal by Tumeth. Henry. Searching Riley Henry for a teammate, finds Leah Davidson. Otto. So Melbourne City want to do, try to trap them in the final. That's a beautiful ball forward, poked goalward. And wide by Riley Henry. What a beautiful chance. Just couldn't find the back of the net that time.
Wow, what a great ball in there by Speckmeyer, and a great run there by Riley Henry as well, just a couple of inches off.
She's such a hard-working player, gets in those positions, but sometimes it just doesn't fall for her. Obviously scored her first Matilda's goal in the last international window. Played a fullback a couple of times in the end of last season and this season as well, so a player who can play in quite different roles, very versatile. Perez sending it long, but sending it straight to Nat Tobin. Tobin. Just taking a momentary trip. That ball sent long down the line. The flag is up, but it's going to go out of play anyway. Tobin, an ACL injury, hampered her season, and she's back, and she's ever so reliable as that centre back. And her and Jordan Thompson are building that partnership in the heart of the defence. What is she trying to say to her side to try and get them out of this little slump that they're facing right now?
She would have a massive, massive job on her hands, especially the way that the Sydney FC season has been going for them. It's not easy, especially when you are always on the top of the league and you are winning. And for this season, it's been a tough one for her, but we know what Nat Tobin's like. She's got such a great personality. She's a great leader, and I'm sure she's one that a lot of those youngsters are looking towards and speaking to. And you know, the positivity that she brings on and off the pitch, I think, is something that this Sydney FC squad really does need. And it's great to see Nat Tobin back in this league and back on the pitch and playing so well for Sydney FC.
She really is one of the most experienced defenders. One back by Davidson. Just couldn't find that ball to slip it through to McKenna, but they retained possession, City. Speckmeyer, right idea, poor execution. But now Taylor Otto's got to be mindful. Shay Connors was lurking behind. Stott, Kostelakis. Never expected that stat. Melbourne City passing accuracy 80%. That is what they do best. And something Sydney FC, their midfielders actually had a lot of trouble with their passing accuracy and building this season. Not a lot of control as they've had in past years. Perez, that's a dangerous pass. But Otto made it work. It's just very far forward. Dos Santos off the knees. And just to regain control. Chevet. Chevet just sitting in front of that defence and has to ride a few challenges, but finds Faye Bryson. Abini. It does feel like in games like this, Sydney FC kind of find themselves against with opposition that are really up there on the league table. That's a beautiful ball with through for Shea Connors. Doesn't have many teammates, may have to go alone. Cuts back inside, sends it across. Dos Santos with the boot. Dos Santos off the crossbar. Mires catches it, but that was a really well-worked bit of play from Sydney FC on that right-hand side.
What a beautiful passage of play by Sydney FC. You can hear Ante Juric on the sideline being a little bit more vocal with his team and trying to really push those instructions on to be able to move the ball forward quickly as well. And great ball in behind there for Shea Connors. And, you know, to have the experience that she holds herself up, she knows that she's not in a position where she can score there, and then looks for the cut back there for Dos Santos and picks her up precisely, which was great. And again, great strike by Dos Santos and a great save there as well by Mieres.
Lucky not to find the net. They are building. They do look a lot calmer, Sydney FC, than we've seen them in past weeks. Building forward. Have to be patient, take their chances when they come. Really could be a game that sets their season off. Saw Canberra United yesterday beat Brisbane Roar and get themselves now sitting 8th on the table and only 3 points away from the likes of Western United. So the length of this season expanding, there really is an opportunity for sides who have poor starts to find themselves back in that top 6.
Absolutely, and that's not over yet for Sydney FC. I think this game especially you have to get a result out of. You can see on the screen now Shea Connors, she gets herself up, she squares up the defender there and looks, do I take this player on? And she just picks out Dos Santos there, which is fantastic from her. And it's great confidence for the Sydney FC team to be able to get a great opportunity like this, especially in the opening 15 minutes, where I think they've been great in this first opening of this 15 minutes.
They really have. At this point, well past this point of the first game, we already had both the goals scored, and we saw no more real goals after. It was quite more reserved from both sides. So it's a little law at the moment is just having both sides feeling it out, but seeing a lot more progression up the field.
You can see here as well, Sydney FC without the ball being really patient and really picking when and where they're going to be able to press. And they're picking up the ball here a couple of times in the middle of the park from Melbourne City, knowing that Melbourne City love to play the ball out from the back.
Loose ball in the middle, and free kick is one. We just caught. It is a warm day, and Briley Henry is opting for the sunscreen. And you know what? That is smart sun health.
It sure is. And I really, really do hope that she has Heather Garriock's Game Face Pro on. Otherwise, I'm sure Heather won't be happy.
Gotta be
and if Heather's listening, let's hope that she can send the Melbourne City team a couple of tubes of Game Face Pro.
Absolutely. Send it through, send it through. And Indiana Dos Santos standing over this set piece. Can she pick out a teammate? That ball sits high in the air. Bryson still there, shot away. Cleared by Apostolakis. It was Jordan Thompson who got the shot away. Gonna play it down from Melbourne City. It fell nicely for Thompson, but just crowded and couldn't get it. Just with the power it probably needed. So Briley Henry, it looks like just taking a moment.
It's a great ball in. It's a dangerous ball there. Good little header. Briley Henry could have even come off her arm there, to be honest.
Could have, and that follow-up effort was blocked by Stott, who didn't allow Thompson the effort.
That's a dangerous ball in, and a free header there for Thompson. Great opportunity there for Sydney FC.
Really starting to mount the pressure, Sydney FC. More they trouble Mires in this Melbourne City defence. More confidence they can build in this game. Feel like they can really claim something. Dos Santos once again. This time elects to go short. Caspers wants to take Policina on. That's a good cross in. Punched away by Mires. Falls to Abini on the edge of the box. Will she get a shot away? She can't. Now cleared by McKenna. Really see the crowd starting to build at Leichhardt. This game is starting to build as well. Abini sends it back across. Not dealt with by Hughes. Policina tries to add more distance, and now McKenna. Sydney SC, who got the win in last year's grand final between these two sides. Melbourne City probably started the better, had a fantastic first half, and could not put their chances away. And when it mattered, Sydney SC managed to nick that goal they needed. 2 championships in a row. They are such a dynasty in this competition. Need to find that again this year. Neres playing with fire. That ball not trapped by Dos Santos, so it's a free pass for Melbourne City, but they were playing in a dangerous territory. Henry. Ball poked away by Jordan Thompson. Is looking for somebody to come forward to receive this pass, taking an awfully long time. Now finds Policina. McKenna, the numbers on the edge of the box, goes back the other way. Hughes. Stott. She has no problem bringing the ball forward, and she's going to continue that run. Speckmeyer able to turn, but not able to get a shot away. Abini. Pass is going to stay with Melbourne City. Rebecca Stott. Do have the freedom to go forward if they see fit, Melbourne City. And now you see Rebecca Stott being the beneficiary of that. That ball too far forward for Rosbakken and picked up by Talia Franco. This season, Ante Uric has been tossing and turning when it comes to his goalkeepers. We've seen Talia Franco in goals at times and Brianna Edwards. How difficult is that for a coach if you can't really find a settled goalkeeper? Obviously, they had Jada Wyman for so long, so consistent and reliable. You've really had issues this season of finding that consistency.
Yeah, look, I think Ante's just been really tinkering with what the right formula is. They did lose a lot of key players in Jada, Charlotte McLean and Courtney Vine especially. But I think the goalkeeper position is one that, you know, will take a little while to fill that void. And they've got Talia Franco and Brie Edwards in that position at the moment. And he's obviously not happy with either of them to be that starting keeper at the moment. So I think building that competitiveness between both of them is something that he's trying to do and trying to find that right formula.
Players on that touchline for Sydney FC, who still waiting to see them for their season debut. That is Kai Simon. And at the start of this game, saw marks of Kirsty Fenton and an ACL injury, and Shay Connor's just gone slightly early. But if you are just joining us now, Sydney FC have had the 2 best chances in goals. Indiana Dos Santos hitting the woodwork, just narrowly missing. And then Jordan Thompson right in front of goal from a Dos Santos free kick. Got an initial shot blocked by Briley Henry, and then that follow-up effort was interrupted by Rebecca Stott. Melbourne City have had one really great chance going the other way. A beautiful ball in from this left-hand side. Mariana Speckmeyer into Briley Henry, who had beaten her defender and then beat the near post and couldn't slot it away. But this is a nice bit of play. Sent it across and then cleared by Leah Davidson, who's coming across. Dos Santos to Meth. Tight area. Ball's going to stay in play. Cross gets away. Abini. That ball too far ahead of her. Henry, can she use her pace to burst forward? Got Abini, who's also quick. Ball left behind by all. McKenna. Davidson. Speckmeyer. She doesn't want to pick the ball up so deep. Needs to get further forward. Rosbakken sees Henry in a world of space. Can she pick out a teammate in the middle of the box? Got McKenna close by. Henry goes inside. Rosbakken from distance, headed away. And we're going to have a corner for Melbourne City. That was a good strike from Carly Rosbakken.
It was a great strike from Carly Rosbakken there, and the way that she's inverted herself in and gotten herself into that position to be able to have that strike on the edge of the box there. And Briley Henry, again, getting herself into those wide areas to pick up that ball and seeing herself 1v1. I'd like to see her go forward and take on those players 1v1 and get herself into a situation where she can get herself into the box and shoot.
Postelakis now. High ball deep. Missed everybody. There was a vacated far post spot. If Melbourne City had found a player there, wonder, could they have found the ball nestled in the back of the net? Hughes. High ball. And Franco made the call. Johnson. Dos Santos. She's found her way centrally and ball had too much on it. It's beautiful ground, Leichhardt. Sydney FC always able to draw a crowd, get the noise and the atmosphere, and the Cove is always there as well to bring that atmosphere. That's a strong challenge on Policina. Right idea, just not the execution. You can hear Michael Matriciani raising the thought process, but need to execute Melbourne City. To Meth. That's a dangerous ball. Can it sit for Connors? It can, but that touch just took it away from her. Mires. That ball's short. Only as far as Caspers now. Dos Santos. Chevet on the edge of the box, blocked by Davidson. Henry, McKenna. Davidson. Policina to her right. Henry through the middle. Henry's where the ball goes. Speckmeyer through the middle, and Henry too high. Had a few chances now, Briley Henry. Couldn't get it. Could she have played that pass to Mariana Speckmeyer?
Great little ball in here for Briley Henry, and again, in that situation as a striker and the way the defender is coming across her there, she needs to be able to take that strike first time, and she's done well with that.
She's been very quickly closed and chased down by Nat Tobin. That added to the pressure. They've had some chances on that right-hand side with Briley Henry. Could be something they can exploit. Shay Connors a few times now has made that run and has beaten that high line of Melbourne City. Something they have to be mindful, certainly, of, Kath. Connors. Effort taken. And effort in the back of the net. What a strike. What a finish. And Sydney FC find themselves one goal up against Melbourne City. We've seen some long-range efforts hit the post, and now one nestles into the back of the net.
Wow, what a great ball across there from Shay Connors, and what a strike there. Wow, to be able to hit that first time with the inside of her foot and put it top corner, Mires had no chance in saving that.
Lucy Johnson, what a finish. We've seen some spectacular efforts from long range ways out. We've seen Momo Hayashi do it, seen Grace Smart do it. Lucy Johnson said, add me to the list. That is a club I want to be a part of. And Sydney FC, one goal up, rewarded with all of their effort and all of the pressure that they have applied to Melbourne City to start this game.
Absolutely, and you've got to give it to them. They've been great since kickoff, and they've really seen, you know, the momentum building for them. They've had multiple chances and probably had a little bit more opportunities to score than Melbourne City at this point. And what a great strike there by Lucy Johnson. The technical ability, the way that she allows that ball to run across her and hit that first time with the inside of her foot. Fantastic strike there.
It
And
really is a great effort from Lucy Johnson. And it is her first goal of the season, second in her career.
this is also the confidence that Sydney FC needs. It's been here or there, especially last week. They probably felt they're a little bit hard done by the loss to Melbourne Victory, but to come through in their fortress at Leichhardt Oval, a place that they are very, very familiar with winning, their home crowd, a great crowd, we've got to say, at Leichhardt Oval today. And to be able to go 1-0 up at this point, it's great for the girls to be able to build on this confidence.
It really is, and a side begging for some confidence. And these are the kinds of games that they really step up for Sydney FC. That's a heavy touch. Davidson. And that's Tobin stepping up, denying that follow-up pass. And now she gets to run forward. Got to play it down. And finding Apostolakis. Now Nat Tobin's out of position. They need to act quickly, Melbourne City, if they want to exploit it. And that's not the pass to do that at all. Tumeth, 34% possession and 1 goal up. That is why it doesn't necessarily matter how much possession you have. You just have to take your chances.
It definitely doesn't. You can have possession for 80% of the time, but if you're not creating goal-scoring opportunities, that doesn't mean anything. And you can see in this game right now, Melbourne City, like they always do, they always hold possession of the ball. They're very, very patient in their build-up and do create, but at the moment, Sydney FC have been the better of the two teams.
Davidson, Otto, Hughes. And now, that's all, just couldn't find the run of Speckmeyer from Letitia McKenna. Abini, Bryson, over the top. Connor's certainly a long way off. Haven't had a lot to cheer about so far this year. They had a lot to cheer about for the large portion of the Sydney FC women's side. But this season, a little bit down in the dumps. But they're singing, they're loud, and they're going to make their presence heard, that's for sure. It is something that's nice. It's building in the women's game, more active support. See with the Western Court, the Cove here as well, the Victory Vikings. It's really nice that there is a passionate fan base that supports each and every club around. Bryson, see her battle with Policina a few more times, we expect. Otto. Sparkin. I will say though, it's all smiles, as it should be for Sydney FC, but there's been 4 instances this season for Melbourne City in which they have conceded the first goal. They have won 3 of them and drawn 1 of them, and that draw was against Sydney FC. So will they suffer their first loss? Speckmeyer, tricky little feet, and a good challenge by Tumeth. Dos Santos coming in to be the second support. Ball finds its way into touch. does that figure into the minds of Sydney SC players or more so Melbourne City players, knowing we've gone down multiple times this season and it's something that we're very comfortable in that dynamic?
Absolutely. If they've been in that position before, again, it's not something that you want to have. You don't want to go 1-0 down and have to chase the game all the time, because it does become exhausting. But when they have been in that position multiple times, and again, as we know for Melbourne City, they have full belief in their style of play, the way that they play. They don't shy away from that. And you can see, even though they've gone 1-0 down, they are still sticking to their principles. They are still playing out from the back. You can see Carly Rossbacken, for instance, you can see that she's come into that middle of the pitch, which is allowing here Speckmile getting on the ball and creating that width and putting these balls in behind for Briley Henry and Rihanna Policina. So they don't go away from what their principles are, and that's great to see as well.
This man is happiest that they are a goal up. But be mindful, only at half-time, just continue what we've been doing. We've been putting pressure. We may not have the ball all the time, but we are finding our little pockets and windows to create chances. As this ball spills wide to Henry. And that's a dribbling effort, and easy to save for Talia Franco. It's a long searching ball forward, bounces in an awkward area. Postolak is going to use Mires, but it's danger time for Melbourne City. They eliminate that very quickly. Henry playing it straight to the goal scorer, Lucy Johnson. If you are just joining us, a thunderous effort from Lucy Johnson. Well out from the box to beat Mires. That's why Sydney FC are a goal up, had barely any of the possession. And they've executed and taken their chance, and that's a good ball over the top for Dos Santos, who's out ahead of Rossbacken. Cuts back the ball, Abini. Searching, shadowed by Davidson. Dos Santos fighting and winning. Abini now going to send the ball into the box. That's high, and Mires, safe pair of hands. Going to take a breather. Allow her side to get in position to play out.
You can hear Ante from the side really pushing them to press and put Mires under pressure.
Otto. Dos Santos following her the whole way, and Otto's not going to stop that run. You imagine one of the City midfielders will just occupy that space that Otto has vacated. And it does. Well, they've just got a few there. Davidson. Let that ball run across her body. Now Rossbacken. Can she find a ball like Speckmile had? That ball just swinging away at the very last moment. Postolakis. Otto. Taylor Otto is not a player who's you wouldn't expect in the opposition in her half. Last season, she was very high up on that list when it came to passes and touches in the opposition half. She can venture forward, and it's a ball-playing centre-back, something that Daria Vidosic brought in last season. Her ability to have the ball at her feet, and that's why they moved on from certain other centre-backs they've had in the past who didn't have that player profile.
She can't play you there when you're in line. No.
Stott. McKenna just getting themselves a little bit caught up, Melbourne City. They can't find their way out, and they've just done so with McKenna, and that ball is poor as Abini. A good defensive spot. Chevet, good turn. Just too far. Right idea though.
Great ball into Chevet there, and what a fantastic turn to be able to turn on the ball first time there and look for that ball in behind. You can see that's something that Sydney FC have been working on in that first ball in behind really, really quickly to try and break that Melbourne City defence.
Danger. Tobin pushing it away.
That's always a dangerous ball when you're playing that ball into your six with their back to goal, and if you're not scanning your shoulder and understanding where the opposition players are, that is always a super dangerous ball to play in.
So need to be very, very mindful of for both sides. Tumeth falling for Caspers. And a quiet afternoon for Maddie Caspers, but all things considered, a lot of Sydney FC players haven't gotten the ball too much. They've just taken their chances when they needed to. Caspers. And maybe a goal kick it ends up being. "17 years of age, Maddie Caspers." I'll tell you, Rich, when he does trust the player, it doesn't really matter how old they are. They can get in this squad and play. We saw, obviously, Dos Santos is playing week in and week out, and we've seen the likes of Talon Henniker on the bench, and even Amber Luchtmeyer there as well. Do have a lot of young players who can break through Sydney FC, and you will see those young Matildas, junior Matildas, eventually Matildas as well. They build players. Henry. That's a good ball. Speckmeyer just couldn't redirect it. Henry repaying the favour from earlier on. A chance certainly a lot harder. Kostelakis. Stott. Henry hugging touchline, trying to play some quick passes with Policina, and then Policina just a little bit overzealous in that challenge. It's been an interesting season for Rihanna Policina. Had that great first game against Perth Glory where she got 2 goals, and then was out with an illness, and then was out with the squad and starting on the bench. Now she's back starting again, but hasn't maybe necessarily found that form that we've become so accustomed to as a number 10 in this competition.
I think she's had some great seasons in the A-League, and I think what happens is in a team like Melbourne City, as we spoke about earlier, there is so much competition for positions in this team, and it was unfortunate that she did get ill and did miss that game, and so she found it a little bit tough to get herself back into the starting lineup. But it's a credit to her to be able to get herself back into the starting lineup. She's a brilliant player, and she's been one of the best players in this league for the last few years. And sometimes it's also tough when you get a new coach as well, which comes with a little bit of a different style, and sometimes it can be a little bit harder to adjust as well. But she's been so great for Melbourne City, and she's such a talented footballer. We can see, and probably today not as often getting on the ball, but when she does get on that ball in those pockets, she can be super dangerous, and she's lethal in front of goal as well.
Davidson with that chance, just going over the bar. All right. She is one of the most exciting players. Rihanna Policina was really exciting in the off-season. You know, she obviously usually spent her time in the NPL New South Wales. Yeah, you know, that's a competition. But she came down to the heartland, to where the best NPL competition came to Victoria, and had a fantastic winter season. Caspers picking it up in a dangerous area. Now Dos Santos up against Apostolakis, cuts inside. Dos Santos off the crossbar once again. Connors losing control. And offside, Shay Connors. Something that unfortunately has become a habit of hers throughout this game. But what a chance for Indiana Dos Santos once again.
a massive chance there by Dos Santos. You can see she's so light on her feet, and she just gets that little bit of a sniff there and just gets that strike away. And what a great strike it was, and another fantastic chance there for Sydney FC.
Highlighted her at the start of this game, and she has those capabilities. Only got 1 goal this season, but she can really put defenses under pressure. And yes, Kath, is it the benefit of her of being such a young player that she's able to just play with that freedom in her game?
She can. She's got plenty of confidence as well, which is great, and it's something that I think Ante allows players, especially in the front third, to be able to be a little bit more confident and allowed to express themselves on the pitch, which I think is super important, not only for youngsters, but for any player that plays higher up the pitch. I think it's important that players are allowed to be able to take people on 1v1, and that's something that Dos Santos does so well.
There has been 3 minutes added on to close out this first 45. A minute down. Michael Matriciani got a lot to think about in the second half to change the dynamics of this game. Obviously a position his side is very familiar with, having had 4 games this season where they've gone a goal down, and they've won 3 of those. Only draw was against Sydney FC. Henry. Otto. Postelakis. She's got a little bit of space if she wants to attack it, and that's exactly what she's going to do. Got McKenna through the middle of the park and missed both Davidson and McKenna. Or behind them both. Tobin. Too far for the outstretched boot of Indiana Dos Santos. Davidson. Henry. Henry with the strike. Saw it the whole way, Talia Franco. Riley Henry's probably had the best chances for Melbourne City. His first 45, just yet to find the back of the net, but it is a Lucy Johnson goal that separates the two sides. And that is the close of the first 45 minutes here at Leichhardt Oval. It is the home side and Lucy Johnson who are all smiles heading into the halftime break. It's been an entertaining first 45 minutes. Lots of work to be done for both sides, but Sydney FC heading much closer to winning that 4-game losing streak. And at halftime, it is Sydney FC 1, Melbourne City 0. Kath, this first 45, very entertaining.
It sure was, and we knew what we were going to get from this game. Both 2 quality sides coming in to battle for 3 points here, and a great ball in here by Speckmeyer, and great run from Briley Henry. The way she comes across the Sydney FC defence to try and get her foot on that was just unfortunate for her. And again, on the other side of the pitch here, Sydney FC playing a great ball in here for Shay Connors, who just cuts it back for Dos Santos, and very unlucky with that one, but a great save there by Mirez.
Mirez's touch was what made sure it hit the crossbar. Otherwise, that would have definitely gone to the back of the net.
Another great set piece here from Sydney FC. A great ball into a dangerous area. And Johnson there was super unlucky. Thompson, unfortunately, there. But again, on the other end here for Melbourne City, a great first-time strike there by Carly Rosbacken.
Headed over. In the end, they had some chances, Melbourne City, just couldn't find it. But this was the effort that changed the game.
What a great strike here by Lucy Johnson. The way she allows that ball to come across her body to be able to open herself up and to hit that ball from distance, to hit it into the back of the net so precisely. Mirez had absolutely no chance with that strike.
She was patient. She took it well, and you could see the joy on her face. Second ever career goal, first of the season. Really well worked. And a deserved lead in the end. And you can see this was An effort for Dos Santos, almost once again.
Great effort there from Dos Santos. The way she knows when she gets Apostolakis there, she takes a touch across from the defender here. You can see she squares her up, a little jink, gets a first time shot off there, and that was an unfortunate one not to end up in the back of the net also.
Well, as do you expect, Melbourne City more possession. They don't have the score at halftime.
We see this all the time with Melbourne City. We know that they dominate possession in majority of their games, but I think Sydney FC has had the better of the chances in this match, and I think they're the deserved 1-0 up at the moment.
They are, and it is Sydney FC who have a 1-goal lead heading in to the halftime break. There is one match yet to be played in the Ninja Ray League this weekend. Melbourne Victory will host Western Sydney Wanderers following this match at 8 p.m. tonight. Here is a preview of the fixtures as seen by Narlene Masto.
Melbourne Victory welcomed the Western Sydney Wanderers to the home of the Matildas on Sunday afternoon. Victory sit comfortably in the top half of the table after taking care of the struggling Sydney FC away from home in round 8. Jeff Hopkins' side have not lost since round 2, and a win would continue to apply pressure on competition leaders Melbourne City. Wanderers suffered a tough defeat to Adelaide in their last outing and are in search of points to increase the gap between themselves and cellar dwellers Sydney FC. A lot is on the line for these two teams on either side of the Ninja A-League table. Make sure to tune in on Paramount Plus or 10 Play.
Here's what Victory head coach Jeff Hopkins had to say ahead of their first match of 2025.
The important thing is that we're not going to get another beating. and we won't try to get another BD. We'll bring someone in with their own qualities and strengths, and maybe we'll just adapt the way we play a little bit in terms of the new player that comes in. So there's a number of players that could go into there. Obviously, last week was a big test of our depth, and I think we came through it very, very well. And you look at Laura Pickett, for instance, came in for I think only her second game. I thought she did exceptionally well against Abini. So there's possibility of dropping her into either into right back or left back. And Ellie will be available this week as well. So she'll be coming back from injury from last week. So yeah, I don't think we'll have any problem putting a player into that position and a player that can go in and do well. But as I say, it's very, very difficult to replace BD. We're in a period of quite difficult, going into a difficult period of games now. 3 games in a week to start it off, and yeah, look, I think we're in a really good position where our team, our structure, and the way that we're playing's pretty set now. We're just making small adjustments for the different opposition that we're playing against. And yeah, look, in terms of motivation, we're winning games, and there's nothing better to give your team belief and motivation than winning games. So yeah, we're really happy with where we are, and yeah, the challenge for us now is to, we've got 3 games in a week, which could actually accumulate us 9 points, and that's our goal for this next week.
Well, there's plenty of content produced each week to get your A-League feel. Here's a look at what you should look out for.
Hello, welcome to the Isuzu Ute A-League download. Am I talking about the right game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to Dub Zone. A lot of big names have gone, a lot of leaders have gone.
Hello and welcome to Total A-Leagues.
I still think he's in the top couple of strikers in the league.
They employ that high press, which makes it extremely hard to play out of.
Welcome to the wall.
You know who it reminds me of? The Pringles logo.
The second half will kick off very soon at Leichhardt. Across the holidays, there's more than enough Ninja A-League action on the field too. So here's what to expect across a jam-packed summer of football.
It's football's hottest summer.
Well, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, that is just pretty to watch.
78 games across 28 days.
That is unbelievable!
It's the A-League's biggest summer of football ever.
Oh my goodness, what a strike!
Action-packed fun for everyone these holidays. Family passes start from only $24. Search A-League's tickets online to get your tickets today.
Well, it has been an exciting summer of football, so make sure you go to the ground or watch us, but stick around and watch us for the next 45 minutes as Sydney FC take on Melbourne City, and looks like Melbourne City have made a half-time substitution, Kath, and it is Lourdes Bosch who's coming on. We know how much of an impact player she is. We'll see who comes off for her, but what do you think the thinking behind that is for Michael Matriciani?
Absolutely. Has been a quality player in this league. She's been a great signing for Melbourne City, and we know how she loves to get on the ball and create chances for Melbourne City. The way she gets herself into those pockets of space to be able to create opportunities for the Melbourne City team. I think this is something that City needed, and to make this change at halftime, I think is a great change for Melbourne City.
It is. And it's a big name, an important player who's come off, and that is Rihanna Policina, who is being replaced by Lourdes Bosch. So that is probably an even more attacking change, as Bosch typically is playing on that, as a winger. So we'll see what happens. Speckmeyer out there, Bosch and Briley Henry alongside Letitia McKenna. All out attack, and they need to be, as McKenna gets us going. Now, what do you want to see, Kath, in these opening 10 minutes or so from Sydney FC to settle themselves?
I think the first 5 minutes is always important in any half once you start a game, and these next 5 minutes is going to be super important not to allow Melbourne City back in the team. They've got plenty of confidence going into the halftime break at 1-0 up, which is great for them and something that they really needed. But these next 5 minutes is going to be super important for Sydney FC not to allow Melbourne City so quickly back into the game.
Hughes tried to play with a little bit of a 1-2 with Davidson, but that didn't come off that time. Now Shay Connors on the outside, using her pace. Apostolakis needs to find a good line. Connors goes a little bit further inside. Can she find the follow-up pass? Coming through. Looked like goal scorer Lucy Johnson trying to get her second, but Mires able to cut it off. They go again, Caspers. Otto, there's confirmation of that halftime substitution. Lourdes Bosch coming on for Rihanna Policina. Rosbakken searching, finding Bosch, her first real involvement, cutting inside Bosch. Speckmeyer's got space now. Speckmeyer with the effort. Talia Franco with the outstretched arm. But that shot was wide anyway, but smart movement from Bosch and Speckmeyer to find themselves that little bit of space.
Absolutely, already Bosch has come on and made an impact here, and she's getting herself into good positions in and around the box and plays in Speckmeyer. And again, a great strike there by Speckmeyer and a great save there by Talia Franco, just getting her arm to it.
Well, Kath, you and I agree that Talia Franco got her arm to it. Referee Rachel Mitchinson didn't agree, so it's going to be a goal kick for Sydney FC. Speckmeyer was just as confused. That ball falls for Speckmeyer. A little bit of collision off the ball, but play will continue. High looping ball, needs to be mindful. Leah Davidson, she is. She finds Briley Henry, pokes it over. Rosbarken's making the run off the ball. Will it drop for her? It will. Searching. Bosch, space by herself on the edge of the box. Good tackle from Faye Bryson. Johnson. Stott. McKenna just left alone for a moment, but Chevet closed down the space. Stop continuing. She going to be the player that breaks this. And that ball shot ended up saved by Franco. Wasn't the most convincing save, but she had her body right behind it. Santos hit the woodwork twice in the first 45 minutes. She's really creating, putting that pressure on the Melbourne City defence. Wasn't afraid to take people on. Want to continue to see her do that in the second 45 minutes. Henry turns to go. Pass doesn't work the first time. It looked like he could have the second, but falls for Dos Santos. Touch invited pressure and invited City the opportunity to win the ball back. McKenna. Postelakis searching for Speckmeyer. Falls short though, cut out by Thompson. Davidson closely shadowed. Calling for somebody to come short. Postelakis answers the call. Hughes. Every time the ball comes a little bit far out or near the edge of the box, feel like a shot is on its way. Seen that many a time throughout this game. From Melbourne City's perspective, Kath, what do you think Michael Matriciani is wanting to see from this side? They had a lot of possession, but they just couldn't find anything really in that penalty area to really put Talia Franco under pressure.
I think once they're starting to build up, they're just not finding that final pass in that front third area as well. And they do love to keep possession, and sometimes it just hasn't been working out for them, especially once they come into this area here in the middle third and start to look for opportunities to try and break those lines. The movement at the moment doesn't seem like it's working for them.
Hughes. Good run from Ross Barkham. That ball too far inside and cut out by Jordan Thompson. Jordan Thompson came in last season and has really stamped a claim on that second centre-back role. Came in, I think, really to replace to help out when Nat Tobin being out, and solidified her spot and stayed with Sydney FC this season. Otto. Connors and a beanie pressing. And the press is working. City have got the ball back, but you can see Sydney FC trying to win that ball up high. Ross Barkin, shot deflected off the back of Chevet. Dos Santos tried to find Connors, who was a little bit further forward. Stott. Davidson. Bosch. One-on-one with Faye Bryson. Lourdes Bosch going to the line, sending it across. Nobody there. Comes out the other side. Beanie. Tobin. That's the whole forward progression. Now they use Chevet. And that pass too strong. Well, one back by Margot Chevet. Bosch. Hughes. Smart use of the feet. Speckmeyer cutting it back. Missed everybody. Forced to McKenna. Hughes was calling for it. McKenna went across. McKenna with the effort. Bosch now. Still Bosch continues. Chaotic in the box. Speckmeyer. And that effort looked a little bit lazy and tired from Speckmeyer. Could she have done a little bit better?
I think she was just looking for that cheeky dink in behind to allow someone to run onto it.
Everybody else was on the same page that time.
You can see here a bit of a deflection there off Bryson, and Melbourne City pick up the ball, and Speckmeyer was like, do I take someone on or look for a little cheeky dig into that dangerous area? But the Melbourne City players just didn't read that.
There's a lot of space there that is really free if somebody wanted to attack that. Hughes. Looking forward, seeing Abini. Wants to switch it out to Connors, but that ball too central. Stott hadn't dealt with it the first time, and Mires just launches it long.
Got to give credit to Shay Connors today. She's absolutely chasing everything down, and the way when Sydney set themselves up as well here defensively.
Bosch beaten Bryson. Still Bosch dancing with the ball. Looked to be fouled, and the foul is called on the edge of the box. Lourdes Bosch. Ball stuck to her feet. And the challenge brought her down.
And that's exactly what she brings to this Melbourne City team. She's just got so much confidence, the ability to be able to take players on 1v1, and she just loves that way that she jinks around, and Chuma's not happy there, but absolute quality from Bosch.
She's a player who's not shy, not afraid to take chances. We've seen that from round one till now.
I love the confidence here, the way she's just picked up this ball. She's put herself over the top of it and pretty much saying, this is mine. You can see here, as soon as she picks up the ball, she just wants to run at players, and she's a difficult player to defend against.
And it is how Melbourne City won 2 penalties last week. Holly McNamara brought down twice in the box. The player is brave. Those kinds of fouls can happen, and they can be in the box, and getting yourself a much better opportunity. But it is Lourdes Bosch who stands on the edge of the box. Can she slot it away? Franco nearing to the right. But Bosch stands, tried to place it, falls to Bosch again, deflected away by Abini. Hughes going to send it back, and this time from Talia Franco. She wanted to place it, Lourdes Bosch. She didn't go with the power and just couldn't get past the wall.
She couldn't. There was so many players in that wall, and it's a tough situation to try and shape that ball around into a pinpoint position to get into the back of the net. But she gets the double chance, she gets to hit it again, and unfortunately couldn't get the ball into the back of the net for Melbourne City.
We're going to see some more substitutions, and this time Mackenzie Hawkesby is going to come on to replace Maddie Caspers. And when you're a goal up, that is a fantastic player to bring on. That game state allows her to be more free-flowing and play her natural game, Mackenzie Hawkesby. It's been a tough season, obviously for the Hubbers, for this side, but Hawkesby is a player who, when she's on, she's really, really one of the best in the competition.
She sure is, and she's been such a great player and an asset for Sydney FC, and we've seen her have a small stint overseas and decide to come back to Sydney FC and keep playing her football here in Australia, which is great.
She mentioned, Kath, that WSL club Brighton made the return back, and was a really big part of why Sydney FC turned their season around last season. They were winning and they were doing all right, but they weren't clicking into gear, and she came back and she really sparked them into life. And you have to say, if it wasn't for her, you maybe don't know where Sydney FC finished their season last year.
She was a great addition to the Sydney FC team, and I think coming back from that stint overseas, sometimes, you know, it's not all the glory when you're going into the WSL, and she wasn't playing often over there, and to come back to Australia, to a place where she was super comfortable with, she definitely was a changer for the Sydney FC team.
And we can see some more substitutions are about to come on. There is Holly McNamara and Shelby McMahon getting ready to come on. You know, we talked about it, Kathy. It's just a little bit greedy to have that many players that talented on your bench. Shelby McMahon coming on last season and scoring against Newcastle in the final series, and we know what Holly McNamara can do. It's ridiculous. And this break of play allows substitutions as Briley Henry is going to make way for Holly McNamara. And we'll see Shelby McMahon come on to replace Leah Davidson. So, all things considered, some very aggressive and attacking changes for Michael Matriciani. Davidson are probably more reserved player compared to Shelby McMahon.
Absolutely, and Matriciani knows here, 1-0 down, he needs to make some changes. The game's going to start to get away from him real soon, and what a better prospect to put on. Holly McNamara coming back from ACL. She's been fantastic, building her minutes up, which I'm sure she's not far off a start for this team.
She is getting more and more minutes as the games go by. She made the return against and then scored that goal against Adelaide United, her first goal of the season, and then won 2 penalties last week. They couldn't put it away, Melbourne City, but it's just that threat of Holly McNamara with the ball in the box. Players get nervous and they just leave their boot in there a little bit too long. She's a player who can turn things on their head. Thompson, high ball. Postelakis. Otto. Postelakis. Wasn't aware that Shay Connors was lurking behind. She was asking somebody, let me know. Otto. Bosch. Speckmeyer beaten by Hawkesby, sorry. Habini under pressure, surrounded, but found Connors. Hawkesby. See that possession still remains. Melbourne City more of the ball, but Sydney FC taking their chances, being a threat. Tobin. I just think that, Kath, that Sydney FC, the pressure they've put, that's a poor ball from Talia Franco. Forced to McNamara, got teammates. McKenna! Letitia McKenna punishes Talia Franco for the poor ball out from the back. And McKenna, as she does, reliable as ever. McNamara coming on, getting an assist. And just like that, Melbourne City are level.
That's a poor clearance there by Franco. Picked up by Holly McNamara there, and Letitia McKenna, calm and collected, nice finish just into the back of the net and bring Melbourne City level.
And get them level. McKenna, her second goal of the season. Doesn't get a lot of praise with all the star power that surrounds Melbourne City, but she is such a consistent player. Does the job, does all the right things. Holly McNamara made the right pass. Maybe another player would have been a little bit more selfish, gone for the shot herself, but saw a teammate free and found Letitia McKenna.
I think Holly McNamara was in 2 minds at that point, but then she's seen that McKenna was making that run in and puts it into the back of the net nicely.
Now, it's going to be a real test of the character of Sydney FC. Less so Melbourne City, because they've been in this position. We've seen them throughout this season be a goal down and come back. But how do Sydney FC react? Do they fall back into their shell as they've done throughout this season. They continue to apply that pressure as they've done throughout this game, and it's seen them get reward. There is still a lot of game time to be played. Melbourne City, introduction of Holly McNamara. Got a spark of life. That's where the ball goes, but it falls out to Bosch. McNamara, edge of the box, takes a strike. Over the bar. She's ridiculous sometimes, just such a talented player.
She sure is, and she knows where to get herself into good positions to be able to get forward. And again, you can see her dropping off there to pick up that ball from Bosch, and she backs herself from areas where a lot of players will get to those positions and will look to pass, where McNamara has that eye for goal.
ACLs at such a young age, but it really hasn't deterred her. You wouldn't have blamed her if she decided maybe it's just too much. You know, having to do so many recoveries. Last season she was in such red-hot form, but she's come back, and even in the limited minutes that we have seen her, she's made such an impact to Melbourne City, and that's all over the top as almost finding Letitia McKenna. Postelakis just falling at an inopportune moment. Bosch working her way out of a tight space. McKenna, the goal scorer, has to turn back. Hughes. Sparkin, high ball. Not much McNamara could do in that instance. Tobin. Bryson. 16 shots compared to the 6. A lot of that has really been in the second half, threatening Talia Franco more, asking her to do a lot more work. Got that reward not too long ago, but they are building Melbourne City as this game goes on and starting to just flex their muscle a little bit. Too much of that contact. And Lucy Johnson wins her side a free kick. As a leader on the pitch, Kath, what do Nat Tobin, even Princess Abini, what do they need to be saying to the Sydney FC side to keep them motivated? Obviously, it's unfortunate when you concede a goal the way they did, but how do they keep themselves motivated to go, we can still do this, we're still in this game?
You just got to keep talking to, especially the youngsters on the pitch. But at the moment, coming from that 1-0 up at half-time and now conceding this goal and coming level, but I think Melbourne City have definitely had the upper hand in this second half, and they've got to keep wearing this pressure, Sydney FC, and it's not going to be easy because they did do a lot of defending in that first half. When Melbourne City were on the ball, they were getting themselves up defensively set up, and it started here from Shay Connors, but it does become tiring, and especially now in this moment of the game, especially coming to this 70th minute now, it's a mental side of things as well.
Have to stay locked in, stay patient, as they did in the first half. Chances will fall to them, just about taking them, and that's not what you want from an experienced player like Jordan Thompson. Bosch. McMahon. Bosch again, able to turn and go. McKenna. And nobody there. That next pass across. Rosbarkin. McNamara. Can she turn from Tobin? She can't, but she wins a foul. Tobin frustrated, but maybe cramping up just a little bit.
She comes flying in there on McNamara, and quality turn by Holly as well.
Just getting that Tobin all out of sorts, but looked like may have just been a slight cramp. He was up and walking. Kostelakis standing a long way out. Does look like she's teeing up to go for a strike. Or will she set up a teammate? Kostelakis chips it up and too long. Easy grab for Franco. There's a potential benefit for Sydney FC with the shots they have taken. They've obviously got the threat of Shay Connors. She's able to beat the line, but they've taken those long-range efforts. It allows them a little bit more space because maybe City just go a little retreat a little bit more to protect themselves with that ball from Shay Connors over the top.
You can see that Sydney FC is definitely looking for that ball over the top for Shay Connors or any player that's making these forward runs. They're looking to turn City around as quick as possible, knowing that they like to build up with the ball, especially, and when they do lose possession, that Sydney FC is trying to look for that ball in behind quickly.
The coaching staff of Sydney FC trying to uplift, trying to motivate. The Cove trying to do it as well. It is Melbourne City who have the momentum, but all importantly, the points as of right now are going to be shared. Will it fall for Johnson, who opened the scoring? Chevet. Couldn't find Chevet. A follow-up pass. Lucy Johnson. She'll be able to keep it in play. And smartly wins a throw in. Allows her side to reset. And headed away by Rosbarkin. So, Sydney FC with a corner. How they would love to score right about now. How those fans in the stands would love to see that. Played short to Hawkesby. High ball sits in the air. Headed up. Headed to Tumeth. Tobin went for it. Abini went after it again. And skied it over the bar. She came charging in but couldn't keep it down.
She couldn't. It was just a bit of a ping pong here in the box, and then it drops nicely for Princess Abini. And again, the way she's just jumped up and she gets her knee up, but just can't quite get that ball and keep it down.
Really great chance. Obviously, more difficult than it looks on TV, but just at least want to try and hit the target and force a save that time. That ball through. And to be mindful. And Franco is not a good ball out. And just inviting pressure when you don't need it at all. That distribution needed to be better. McNamara closely followed by Tobin, who's happy to get off the line to just essentially man mark Holly Mack. Connors. How interesting is that, Kath? Melbourne City have had an astronomical amount of shots on goal, but both sides only 2 shots on target. Obviously, when it hits the crossbar, that is not on target, and a couple of those for Sydney FC, but that is very interesting that they're both only 2 shots on target in this game. Hughes. McNamara couldn't get past Tobin. Familiar foes, Matt Tobin and Holly Mack. That's a strong challenge coming in. Faye Bryson and Holly Mack down on the ground. Bryson not afraid to apply some pressure. And you see certainly head and shoulders above in the foul count.
She definitely doesn't shy away from a tackle for Faye Bryson, that's for sure. And Sydney FC know exactly what a threat Holly McNamara is, and every time she gets on the ball, there's a player close by ready to close her down.
Do not want her to turn and go into space. She's really good in front of goal, but she's also, as we saw with that assist for Letitia McKenna, a really good decision maker. Apostolakis. The player's in the box. Plays it for Speckmeyer, who made the run off. Bosch, can she bring it down to control it? She can. Forced it back to McKenna. Couldn't find that pass through to Speckmeyer. Ball behind Connors. Allowed Apostolakis enough time to recover. Hughes, poor pass. Found Dos Santos. Stott. Now McKenna, McNamara, quick pass out to Speckmeyer. Got Otto trying to make the run, but Speckmeyer had gone too early. That's not what they're after. What do you think, Kath, is going to be in these closing 14 minutes the key for both sides, or key player for both sides to try and claim all 3 points?
I think Melbourne City's definitely had the upper hand in this second half, and I think the changes have been changes that have been positive for Melbourne City, and Sydney FC is starting to struggle now. You can see defensively they're starting to make, certain decisions off the ball, and you could see there by Thompson just giving the ball away so cheaply.
Speckmeyer. They were building, they just couldn't finish, and now does look like Michael Matriciani is going to make his final outfield change, and it's to be expected. Carly Rosbach, the fullback, to be replaced by TJ Vlanic. Both aggressive fullbacks were happy to get forward. Vlanic scored this season, not afraid to take a strike, can cross the ball into the box. Different profile player, but still both a threat.
Absolutely. Both players have got the ability to be able to get forward, and that's something that Melbourne City have always played with, those wide fullbacks that like to get up and get forward a lot. And it's an interesting change, though, at this point in time, at the 76th minute, to use your last sub as well, which you don't normally see coaches do that. So at this point in the game,
he has used all 3 substitution windows, so no more subs available. McKenna, Speckmeyer poked away. Apostolakis. Stott, heavy touch, invited the pressure of Hawkesby. Hawkesby now. See, they want to play quickly, want to get behind the City defence that time. That ball just too quick for Shay Connors. Hawkesby saw McMahon wasn't looking, picked it off, and that ball blocked. Stott. now we see first touch of the ball, TJ Vlanic missed last game, had a minor hamstring injury, but as we can obviously, she is back and only missed that one game against the Mariners. McKenna. McNamara, cleared by Thompson. Stott, long searching ball, too much for McNamara to chase down. Tobin, blocked by Bosch, falls for Chevet. Tobin retreating, doesn't want to be in this position and has to clear it and allow her side to reset.
Nat Tobin knew that she had not many options there. She just looks to play the ball out, allow the team to reset here, get their shape again.
Stott. McNamara, smart pass to Hughes. Hughes couldn't bring it with her. Postelakis. They're building, getting closer and closer, Melbourne City. It's a Sydney FC goal. They're winning more and more of those one-on-one battles. Coming away with the luck. Postelakis is down on the ground, looks very uncomfortable. Ball just played awkwardly to her. They're going to play it out. They must have to. Surely Melbourne City got to play it down in the middle of the park, and now they eventually clear it away. Postelakis tried to get up and just couldn't get up. It does look like cramp. It is not comfortable and not surprising. Hayley Talon-Henniker to come on for goal scorer Lucy Johnson. Talon-Henniker, a player who can make things happen also in that front third.
She sure can. We know that she's got speed to burn and she can create plenty of chances and get herself into some really good positions. You can see there Lucy Johnson was just starting to tire a little bit there, and you can see Sydney FC just a little bit on the back foot right now.
Talked about it, Kath, how lively the crowd is, and Postelakis just, she was just going for it, just cramped up. But Sydney FC at Leichhardt Oval always bring a crowd, and they've done it once again this afternoon. There's a lot of busy things happening in Sydney, a lot of things people have gone to, but could have gone to, but they chose to come out and watch their Sydney FC girls up against Melbourne City. And it is a crowd of 2,340. They just continue to build this competition. And we are so happy to have them come to these games and support this league and this competition. So many fantastic players, a chance to see them before they make their way into the Matildas, like we see there with
Kaya Simon, someone that we haven't seen feature yet in this Ninja A-League as well, and again played last season at Central Coast Mariners, and Sydney FC are still waiting to see her make her returning debut.
It is a great chance. So many players. We see so many spectacular moments, and we talked about that promo at halftime, the summer of football, and it's been a very enjoyable summer of football. Brisbane Roar have brought us a lot of joy. They're scoring 8 goals, 6 goals. Even seeing it in the men's competition as well, that 95th minute winner with Lawton for Western United, overhead bicycle kick. He's a fantastic way to close it out. If you haven't seen that goal, go and check it out. Ended up getting himself sent off with a second yellow card because he took his shirt off and with so much excitement. But it's been a really good summer. Keep coming out and watching this game. We all love and enjoy. Sure, both coaches would love the game a little bit more if either of their sides could find the decisive goal to separate and claim all 3 points. A reminder, back in round 4, these sides faced off, a 1-1 draw. This game has certainly had its moments, lived up to the billing. It's been exciting. They've built into the game.
It sure has. It's definitely been a game of 2 halves, that's for sure. Sydney FC had the upper hand in the first half, but Melbourne City, these few changes that they've made, they've really come out firing in the second half and have created plenty of goal scoring opportunities.
At this point, as this game nears the end, who do Sydney FC look to change the game? They almost win it back in that third. Abini does so now. Bryson to Connors, getting pulled back certainly by Apostolakis. Foul not called. Vlanic has to be mindful. Ball bounced in front of her, cleared away, but only as far as Tumeth. Talon Henniker. Can she find somebody? A nutmeg for one. Sent it across, headed away by Stott. And Ross Barkin adds some more distance from goal. Hawkesby. Bryson. Dangerous ball. Easily caught. Who do Sydney FC turn to?
I think they've got to look to Amber Luchmeyer. Definitely knows where the goal is, and we've seen that she's had plenty of success in the New South Wales MPO, and they need to look to freshen things up here. And you can see that the Sydney FC girls are starting to tire a little bit, and if they want to keep up the pressure on Melbourne City here, which they have been dominating in this second half, I think he needs to look to his bench. Ante Uric needs to look to the bench and make a change.
Luchmeyer, a player who's was part of that World Cup squad from last year for the under-20s. So, you know, promising young player. She's more of a bolter. Got in there late, but that NPL New South Wales talent is what's really brought her onto the scene. It's these young players for Sydney FC, not on their shoulders, but they've stepped up in the past. Can they do it now against a juggernaut in Melbourne City? So much talent in their starting 11. And on the bench as well, they brought on McNamara, Bosch, Vlanic and McMahon. Hawkesby, heavy touch. Allowed Apostolakis enough time, but that ball still stays. And Otto came out, shrugged off the challenge. Otto searching forward, searching for McNamara. Lets it come across her. McNamara tried to send it across. Will it bobble through for McKenna once again? It won't. Goes out of play. Matriciani applauding the efforts, trying to send his side forward.
You got to love how animated Matriciani is on the sideline there and just egging his team on. You can see Holly Mack a little bit off balance there and looks for that cutback across goal for McKenna, but just wasn't enough to get the strike off on goal.
Not enough space that time to get the shot really away. They were blocking, they were in the right spaces. Sydney FC defence under siege. And the experience of Tobin, Thompson, and even Hawkesby, who lies in that midfield. Can they protect the defence and maybe find themselves a chance forward? McNamara, still McNamara. Was she fouled? No, she wasn't. Hawkesby, Abini, back to Hawkesby. Sending it forward for the run of Connors, off balance. Abini making the run through. Can she find her? Dancing with the ball at her feet. Now she sends it. Abini had stayed back. And Otto beating Dos Santos. Balls are between two. Talon Henniker with the strike. And then wide of goal. But it's going to head to the corner. Sub almost making an impact, and making that decisive finish.
You've got to love this excitement in these last few minutes of the match here. A short corner by Sydney FC here.
Dos Santos sending it across. Falls out to Bosch. She needs to clear it. Abini takes the strike, takes a couple of deflections. Mires saw it through, right behind the ball. And he's certainly ramping up the intensity.
We know that Princess Sabini definitely has it in her locker to be able to strike a ball from that distance.
Chevet, Hawkesby, high ball, dangerous for both. Talon Henniker loses sight of it. The Flanish loses it out of play, so it's going to come back to Sydney FC. Chevet, once again, surveying the area. Dos Santos with the strike. Mires almost bottling it. And lucky enough, no Sydney FC players in the vicinity. Does feel like it's going to be some long-range speculative effort. Seen so many of them in the first half, hit the woodwork. And they're obviously Lucy Johnson's strike what separated the sides.
We knew that this game was going to bring plenty of excitement, and that's what it's definitely given us today.
He has. Stott nearing the close of the 90. How much time will be added by fourth official Isabella Mawson? 4 minutes is the number. 4 minutes for Sydney FC to get their first win in 4. 4 minutes for Melbourne City to do what they've done so many times this season. Come from a goal down to claim all 3 points. Or will this game and in a 1-1 draw, as it did back in round 4. Stott. McNamara. She's a player capable of changing the dynamic of game. Bosch has to go a little bit further to retrieve her than she would have liked. Up against Faye Bryson. Closer and closer she gets to goal. Beats Bryson, but Bryson fell and it actually worked for her. Clearing it to touch.
Great defending there by Faye Bryson.
Dos Santos poked away, found Hughes. McMahon. Postelakis. This game is quickly running out of time for both sides. They need to find something. The ball finds Bosch. Cuts inside. Bosch still not on the same page as McNamara. It's those minutes they haven't played together. The connection just not there in that moment. That ball's not a good one out, but it works. It finds Dos Santos. Hawkesby doesn't have many options ahead, but he'll find Abini. Connors, she's well wide. She needs to find a pass, and it's blocked by Postelakis. She'll get another attempt at it. This time she uses Abini. Chevet. Hawkesby. Hawkesby on the edge of the box. Hawkesby just wide. Mires behind the ball.
Great ball into Hawkesby to find her free on the edge of the box there, and
it's close from that Tobin. Don't know where that ball's going to deflect to. Connors up against Stott, kept her feet. Stott cleared it, but it's going to come back. Abini missed it out to Apostolakis. McNamara lays it off for McKenna. He's just going to ask McNamara to come, keep on running. She ran straight into Faye Bryson and doesn't get any luck with the whistle. Bryson and McNamara maybe just wanted to leave a little something in there after the initial challenge from Bryson. Sydney FC haven't won a game in 4. Their last point was against Melbourne City. Otto. City have not lost a game so far this season. Cross into McNamara and cleared just before she was lurking behind.
She was a deep ball in there for McNamara, and Franco's come out and done well just to get her hand to it and just push it away. Great dangerous ball here into the back post there, and Franco's just come out and just pushed it away for a corner. Sydney FC got to stay mentally switched on in this position here, these last few seconds, to try and get a point from this game. You don't want to let it go after all the hard work that they've done, especially in the opening 45 minutes.
They have to stay locked in. Time is running out. This ball from Vlanic has to be good. What can she deliver? That ball's curling. Collision in the box. Somebody certainly give a good shove to Margot Chevet to run in, and that is a free kick given. And if you're Sydney FC, you're happy. Talia Franco wants the 3 points though, wants to play quickly, sends it long, but they're not going to have enough time. It's been an entertaining game. Frustrated faces, disappointed. They shared the points at Leichhardt Oval. Both sides had their chances. Sydney FC in the first half, Dos Santos hitting the post multiple times. Melbourne City built in the second half, had their chances, couldn't slot it away. But Kath, shared points, do you think that's probably a fair result?
I think in the end it could have been a fair result for both teams, but I think Sydney FC were definitely the better of the two teams in the first half, and Melbourne City came out in the second half and was absolutely firing. They created plenty of chances to be able to take the 3 points, but again, a fair result, I think, in the end.
A fair result, and if you're Sydney FC, you claim that point and you try to kickstart from here. But at Leichhardt Oval, it is Sydney FC 1, Melbourne City 1. And this game had a lot of chances.
They sure did, and I think Shay Connors was fantastic today for Sydney FC. She gets herself in those wide areas and cuts that ball back for Dos Santos. Another ball that hits the post for Sydney FC, and again, we spoke about the first half and how many chances they did create for Sydney FC, and Ross back in here, the first time shot here around the corner at the other end. What a fantastic strike here by Lucy Johnson. Lets that ball run across her body and hits that first time for a pinpoint finish. Beautiful.
There is not much any keeper can do to stop that. Fantastic, nestled beautifully in the back of the net, but chances are plenty, but only 2 goals ultimately.
Absolutely, and again here, Dos